Hello ladies and gents, welcome to another video. I paid £254.99 for this broken PlayStation 5 off of eBay. So this has apparently only got a couple of broken USB ports, which should be a fairly straightforward fix. Hopefully I can fix it and then hopefully sell it on for profit. It's coming up to Christmas, so a lot of people are after these, and if I can make a little bit of profit, I've got a frigging flight in front of me. Just trying to get in on the video. Anyway, if I can sell it and then make a profit, then bonus. But even if I break even, then it makes for some interesting content. So happy days. So if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and turn on the bell notifications, and that way you don't miss any future videos. And if you do want to support me in any way, then you can head over to Twitch and become a Twitch Prime subscriber by linking your Amazon account to Twitch and then subscribing completely free. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it really does help me out. And also there'll be a Patreon link in the video description, as well as some affiliate links to Amazon and AliExpress as well. So if you want to buy any of the tools that I use in the workshop, I'll get a little bit of a kickback if you use my links. So with that being said, let's get into this repair. Okie doke. So if we take a look at this listing, then you can see that I won this for £254.99 with free delivery. They're actually quite local to me in Stafford. And by the way, if you do need your console repairing, check out the description because I do offer repair services as well. But this listing says that it's digital edition, console only damaged. And if we take a look here on the description, it says that item has been used and has signs of cosmetic damage. This item has two broken USB ports, one on the front and one on the back, and will need replacing to function properly. However, the item works as intended and functions well. But here's the actual console. It's in fairly decent condition. You know, there's a couple of scratch marks, kind of to be expected because, yeah, this has obviously been dropped. And I have noticed that the front USB is damaged, and also the rear USB port is completely mangled. So hopefully that hasn't done some more severe damage. But yeah, the HDMI port is also a bit finicky as well. Like, it's a little bit bent. It doesn't quite look right. So I'll probably end up changing that as well. I actually did one, literally, exact same situation. This port was broken, the front port was broken, and the HDMI port didn't look too clever. So, yeah, it's kind of a carbon copy of the last one I did. Okay, that's been worked on in the past. Let's just turn it on and make sure it actually powers up. That power button is a little bit dodgy as well, but to be fair, this is probably going to get changed anyway, and the reason for that is because I don't have any front USB ports. I've ordered some off AliExpress, but I don't actually have any, so this entire panel will get changed. Let's just hook it up to the capture card and we'll just make sure that it actually boots up. Yeah, that port's a little bit loose, but it is recognising on the splitter. So I've got a splitter here from the console or whatever I plug it into, and then that comes in through the splitter and it goes out to my capture card and the TV behind me. Yep, okay, that boots up absolutely fine. So I'm going to run through the setup. I'm going to make sure, before I even go any further, I'm just going to make sure that it's not banned, make sure it connects to the PlayStation network, just do a few basic tests, you know, things like that. And it does need a system update, but I'm not going to do that yet. I just want to see what system software version it's on. By the way, if you're wondering what the numbers are in the top of the screen, that's my multimeter. I've managed to get it to work again. That's on version 4.51. I'm sure that's a highly sought after version. Right, I'm not 100% sure on how to read firmware versions, but I am almost certain that is on 4.51. I need to confirm that, but I'm almost certain that's an exploitable firmware. I'm not updating that, at least not yet. So I'll just have to hope and pray that it's not banned. But I'll double check and make sure that it's the right firmware. And then if it is, then I'll leave it as that. And if not, then yeah. Then I'll update it and make sure. Okie doke, let's take it apart and just see what we're dealing with inside. So first of all, the most important question, did we get a free SSD? Probably not. Did we get one? Oh, one day, I'm going to get a free SSD. One day someone's going to accidentally leave it in there. I've actually got another one coming tomorrow or Tuesday. It's Sunday today. And that's the wrong Torx bit. Oh, really? That's way too many screws. Ah, that's better. Do you believe in magic? See? Who needs screwdrivers? All I need to do is click my fingers. Ah, there we go. Alright, anyway, enough messing around. I'll deal with this later. So, this front panel, I'll deal with that later on. I'm not really that fussed about this right now, because literally when I put this back together, I can just take this off and put a new one in. So, it's as simple as that. Take that off. Okay, this is a first revision. The EDM 010. We're going to need to clean up this liquid metal and stuff in a little while, but for now, it's fine. So what I'm going to need to do then is I'm going to need to take this port off. This one's absolutely fine, so I don't need to worry about that. I'm going to take that off there because I don't want to end up setting fire to it. And also this port is slightly split as well. So if you take a look at the port here, we can see a little gap in the middle. So that's starting to split. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this port as well, because it looks like this has taken an impact as well. So I'll change this port, I'll change this, and then we'll sort out the front panel afterwards. So the easiest way to change the port, or ports, is just to flip it over like this. And take that off there. And I'm going to set my hot air at 480 degrees Celsius at 60% airflow, and all I'm going to do is just hold the hot air over the ports and just wait for them to fall, pretty much. I'll give them a little tap, but pretty much just wait for them to fall out. Okay, that one's actually fell out. There you go. And then this USB port as well. This one's a through hole, so I'll probably have to grab that with some tweezers. Give it a wiggle. Just keep that lifted for a second. There we go. And those ports are removed. So this one we don't really need to be that careful because it's a through hole, so we're not going to damage any pads, or at least we shouldn't. This one we do have to be a little bit more careful, but just using the hot air and just waiting for it to drop out is a really good method for removing these ports. So under the microscope then, you can see we've got no damage to this port here. This is the HDMI, and as you can see that's perfectly fine. Just zoom out a little bit there. So the first task here is going to be to just add some flux. So flux is just going to help the solder to flow and prevent it from oxidizing when I flow some leaded solder down. I use leaded solder because it's got a lower melting temperature than lead free, and it does create better joints as well. It's lead free from factory, but I use leaded solder, and I use Kester 0.4mm. So a lot of people ask me quite often what temperature my soldering iron's at. I keep my soldering iron at 400 degrees Celsius for pretty much everything, to be honest. And I'm using a Hakko soldering iron, by the way. There's a link to the soldering iron and the hot air, as well as the Kester solder, etc, in the video description. They are affiliate links, so I will get a bit of a kickback if you use those links. It does help me out. Helps me to keep making these videos. Okay, so replace that solder. One thing you can do, if you're struggling to get any kind of heat into the ground legs, because it is a high temperature area, you know, these ground legs here, one thing you can do is just use your hot air. And watch how easy this will flow with a bit of hot air on top of the soldering iron. So, hot air, and then in conjunction with the soldering iron, and check that out. You barely have to touch it. That'll also help the leaded solder to push all the way through as well. So if you are struggling with thermal transfer, you can do that. There you go. I wasn't struggling, I just wanted to show that method. And you can see now it's changed colour because it's mixed in. So it's not quite as shiny anymore. But that's just because the leaded solder and lead-free solder has kind of mixed in a lot more than with just a soldering iron alone. So I'll move just over here. This is the USB port. I'm going to do this at the same time, because I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. Again, same as before, I'm just going to use some leaded solder on top of the lead-free solder. You don't need to clean the holes out. This, for some reason, is an area which has a much higher thermal mass, so it sucks away a lot more heat than the HDMI area does for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just a thicker ground plane. Actually, those pins snapped off. So the pins to the actual port itself snapped off. I can feel them and see them now, actually. So I'm going to have to take care of that. And what I mean by that is I'm going to have to remove those pins. Just make sure I've got enough leaded solder on all of these pins. And what you can do here is, if you use your hot air, you should be able to just knock the pins out. You don't need to get fancy and start using solder suckers and stuff like that. Just use your hot air. I'll put a nozzle on as well just to make it a little bit easier. I'll knock my airflow down to 20%. I don't want flux flying all over the place unnecessarily. It'll be fairly easy to clean it up, but might as well keep my airflow down. I mean, even at 20%, it's still pushing flux all over the board. Just not as much as it would at 60. And with the nozzle, I can direct my heat onto one specific pin. Just wait for those to go shiny. Okay, I'll just push them out because they seem to want to be a troublemaker. I think they're all empty now. Well, the pins anyway. Let's just try and clean them out again. Oh, there wasn't all there. There's one hiding. You sneaky little bugger. I think they're all clean now. I think everything's done. Okay. So I'm hanging the board over the edge of the table. And before I do anything, I'm just going to clean up the board on this side. I can clean the other side when I'm finished, but this side I want to clean up a little bit before I go any further. There's a lot of flux and stuff around here, so I'll just get some isopropyl alcohol with a brush and just give it all a good scrub. And I've got a brand new port here, so I'm going to grab this with a pair of tweezers, like so. And then with no nozzle on, again, I'm going to heat up from underneath the board. So I could clean these holes out fully and just drop it in, but if there's any remaining pins in there, pushing this port through should push them out. I hope. I can't see any remaining pins, but you never know. So I'll remove the hot air and then just press and hold until that solidifies. Let's just make sure I didn't damage the inside of the port. It looks good. So before I do anything else with the USB port, I do need to solder those in, but before I do that, I'm just going to drop a new HDMI port on, just while I've got the board over the edge of the table. It'll save a little bit of time, but I'm going to use exactly the same method. I'm just going to heat up from the bottom, hold the port in my tweezers, and then when the solder's flowing, I'm going to drop it on. And we'll see these ground legs go nice and shiny. And done. Job's a good one. Make sure we didn't damage the inside of that port. And we didn't. Excellent. So now let's just clean this up, and then I'll put some fresh flux down, and then I can solder these pins properly. Okay, if the flux doesn't want to clean up, just heat it up. Just liquefy the flux again, and then use some IPA to clean it up. Doesn't have to be perfect at the minute. And the reason it doesn't have to be perfect is because I'm going to add some more flux anyway. Just like that. And now I'll just flow these solder joints with some fresh leaded solder. Beautiful. Just to clean that up. I'm also going to clean inside the port as well with my brush. Let's just inspect these pins. Not quite happy. The pins are not fluffy, so I'm going to fluff them up a little bit. Just transfer some heat. There we go. I'll take that. Happy days. Okay, onto the ground legs of the HDMI port then. Okay, just use a bit of heat. And that'll do. So onto the pins themselves then for the HDMI port. Just going to touch up each of these pins individually. Those joints look absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, so there's that. Let's not forget these pieces of conductive tape, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I think it's conductive tape. Just put them there, and then I'm going to remove this. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that, but it doesn't matter. Actually, I'm going to need to remove the screws from the other side. So I'm going to clean this out anyway. So what I'll do actually is I will just screw this back down. So then when I lift this off, the board and the heatsink will come out as one piece. Okay, just pop that off. And there's just two screws I need to remove on this side. Got that one there. By the way, these screws, even though they look like the long thin screws off the other side of the chassis, they are different. They're slightly longer. And these have got a pointed edge, whereas these ones haven't for the rest of the chassis. Cool. And that will keep the liquid metal safe as well, while I'm working on the rest of the board, or rather the rest of the console. So what I'm going to do, I haven't got any USB ports, so the way that I would normally fix this is I would take off this board and then replace the USB port the same way I've just done the other one. It is a through hole. It's a lot easier because it's USB 2.0, so it's only 4 pins instead of 9. So I would normally just take this board off and replace the port, but because I haven't got any, I'm going to need to basically replace this entire board. I have got some boards, but I just haven't got ports. But I might just refurb this at a later date and just replace it like for like. It's got to be from a digital one, by the way, because the disc edition has a second button. As you can see, there's a button missing from there because Sony didn't want to put that extra 1 pence on there and just create one part for the digital and disc editions. But hey ho. But yeah, it looks like this tactile switch might be a little bit iffy, unless it's just sticky. Yeah, I think it's just sticky actually. I guess we could clean that if I can figure out. Actually, no, I think they're moulded, so I'd have to just pour some IPA down there and hope, you know, try and work in some IPA. You could use, well, a few things actually. Contact cleaner, conductor nut. I was looking at my conductor nut tube off to the left hand side. Contact cleaner, WD-40, isopropyl alcohol. Pretty much any non-conductive substance really to clean this. I'm just going to put some IPA down there and try and work it in. Just let that soak in. And also, if I do it from this side as well, don't worry about the IPA dripping down there, it's fine. I'm just going to keep pushing it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Ow, that stings. Ow. Ow. I've got a blister on, well, was a blister on my finger. That really does sting. And, okay, I can actually see that there's quite the amount of gunk there. So that's the reason that this is sticking. Look at that. Ugh, finger grease. I'll save that for dinner. So yeah, the IPA is going to break that up and just free up this button a little bit. Well, that's disgusting. It's even worse when you magnify it and look at it under the microscope. Let's just get a toothbrush down there as well, just to give it a good proper scrub. That's better. When I actually put this board back in, it should spring freely. That just looks a million times better. I'm just cleaning out the actual button. I just don't want to waste it, that's all. You know, I don't like to waste parts. And when we've got perfectly fine working parts, or, well, technically perfectly working, I don't want to throw them away. And in fact, these buttons, by the way, are so simple to fix. If you can change that tactile button, you know, that tactile switch, then you can fix it. There's nothing to it, it's just a PCB and a button. Or, well, 2 buttons for the disc edition. That's better. Let's see if that, I don't know if that's going to come across on the mic. But that is nice and clickety-click now. So I'll need to get this board off, because this is a damaged board. Like I said, I haven't got any ports, so unfortunately I can't fix this one. I'm going to have to replace it for now with one from my donor pile, and then I'll just repair it. I've got about 5 of them to repair, to be honest, when my ports turn up. There we go. It's as easy as that. So what I would normally do, like I said, is just desolder this, take this port off, drop a new one on. It's a right angled USB 2.0 port. So drop a new one on and then call that good, but unfortunately that's not an option. And typical, the first spare one I picked up has also got a broken USB. Rightio, so here's a board, and I'm just going to reuse this. Like I said, I will fix it. I do keep them, I don't throw them away. And eventually, when my ports finally turn up from AliExpress, I'll be able to use them. Or rather, reuse these boards. I'll just spend, you know, like an hour changing out 4 or 5 USB ports, or however many I've got to do by then. But that port is good. So there we go, one fixed front panel. Just drop my power supply back in and make sure I don't get that wire trapped, because otherwise we're going to end up with a very, very annoying issue. More on that in the next video, by the way. I'm going to fake a video, to show you how to fix the triple beep of death. I'll say fake because I'm just going to replicate the issue. So make sure you get subscribed for that as well, by the way, if you want to know how to fix the triple beep of death. Okay, so I need to get this back together now. I'm not going to bother testing the USB ports or anything like that because I know that all of the connections are good and it's going to work. I mean, it's not an issue generally that causes any further issues. You know, once the port's broken, it's broken. It doesn't generally cause any further issues. So I might as well just put it back together and yeah, then we'll test it when it's fully reassembled. And there we go. That is one fully reassembled PS5. So as you can see, we now have a good USB port, another good USB port, and a good HDMI port. So brand new ports all around. Let's give it a test, shall we? So test numero uno is going to be just to make sure that the HDMI port actually still works. Actually, test number one is going to be to make sure the console still turns on. But never mind. Whoops. Oh, I nearly dropped it. Okay. That button is nice and clicky now as well. So I've got a blue light and a white light. Awesome. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not good at all. It's just shut off and died. And gone to a blue light of death. That is not good. Oh dear. That is not good at all. That actually went to a white light. And now it's a blue light of death. That is not good at all. I've never had that happen to me. I've heard of it happening and I've actually received consoles where that's happened. Where someone's changed the HDMI port and all of a sudden it just goes to a 2-second blot. Fucking flies. But I've never had this happen to me. That is the first time it's happened. Alright, well, this video is not going to be... this video I can't do repair on a 2-second blot. I'm going to have to make another video because it's going to be too long otherwise. Well, okay, well, I guess this is not fixed. Should we just do what all of those weird techs do when they don't know what the issue is and just say it's a dead APU? Maybe? I don't know. No, I'm joking. I am going to make a second video on this. It's 2:13 AM. It's going to be tomorrow. So I'll make a second video as a follow-up. And I'm honestly lost for words. Just wow. I don't know how the hell that has happened. But hopefully in the next video we're going to find out. If you feel sorry for me, don't forget to subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. And let me know what you think could be causing this. And we'll find out in the next video. Hopefully I can figure it out because it is almost December the 1st. I think it's like the 27th of December. November? I don't know. I don't even know the date. I'm too tired. But it's getting close to Christmas. And I need this working ASAP so I can get it sold. So someone can open up her PS5 on Christmas Day. But yeah, I honestly don't know what to say on this one. I'll figure it out, I'm sure, hopefully. And if not, then, you know, I don't even know. It's not even a lesson learned because I don't know what I've done. Right, thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Let me know what you think it could be. And obviously by the time this video even gets published, I'll have already looked at it a second time. But yeah, you never know. I don't know what's happened. Could be a little bit of liquid metal spilled somewhere. You know, a bit of liquid metal on the board somewhere, but we'll find out, I'm sure. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, that way you don't miss any future videos. If you do want to support me, if you feel really, really sorry for me, you probably shouldn't, because it's probably my fault, probably something stupid that I've done. But if you do feel sorry for me, there's a Patreon link in the video description. You can become a Patreon supporter. You can head over to Twitch and become a Twitch Prime subscriber. by linking an Amazon Prime account to Twitch and then subscribing to the channel absolutely free. And you can also become a channel member by clicking on the join button below the video. There's also a new feature called Super Thanks on YouTube. So if you do want to, you know, give a highlighted message and give a little bit of a donation at the same time, you can press on the Super Thanks button and leave a little bit of a tip and leave a comment at the same time. I do read those every single day, and I do genuinely appreciate that and all of the support that people give me. But with that being said, that is going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see you later. Bye for now. My PS5.